All right. Sweet.
All
So
right.
you are live. Are you at least partial host? Co-host right now? You must be. Right.
Co-host. Um, I think so. I'm able
Yeah,
to admit people from the waiting room, so yeah, I should be.
right. You're co-host right now, and then I will.
Oh, under more, actually. Let's see. Oh, I can disable the waiting room now. Okay,
Okay, cool.
cool. So I should be all set. So I'll just, yeah, I guess we can let everybody in.
All right. Sweet.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, and have fun.
All right. Have fun with bedtime.
Exactly. All right, catch you later.
Thanks. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for choosing to be here. I know you could be watching Joe Biden right now. I think. I don't know. What time does he come on? Nobody knows. I think his speech is supposed to be short anyway, so you can, if you must, you can duck out and come back. So thank you for being here, everybody. So Google the highlights. Good idea, Jacob. Thank you. Why not? All right. So for those of you who have been to a headphone session last semester, we're keeping the ball rolling this semester. We're going to keep this. The idea is to keep these informal, although I have to admit I've got some notes I'm going to be reading from occasionally because I don't want to leave. when I'm when I'm talking about Kate Bush, I don't want to leave anything to chance. She's worth preparing for. Um, so for tonight's session, I knew early on that I wanted to share some of Kate Bush's music with you simply because from the first time I heard The Hounds of Love a few years ago, it immediately became my absolute favorite album. um, there's just so much going on in this album, from her amazing melodic sense, her adventurous use of unusual forms and harmonies within a pop music context, her hyper expressive and utterly unique style as a performer. The oh, sorry, I need to admit, folks. Sorry, let me make sure the waiting room is turned off. Okay, there we go. Cool. Yeah, so she has a hyper expressive and a totally unique style as a performer. The way she intertwines music with other art forms like dance and literature, and also the constantly surprising use of time and spatial effects in her mixes. These are just some of the things that really drew me to this album, and later on to more of her music. This album relied largely on the iconic sounds she conjured up out of her Fairlight CMI, stands for Computer Music Instrument, the first sampler-based music workstation, which came out in 1979. And of course, as a child of the 80s, these sounds are etched in my musical DNA. So this kind of sound holds a special place for me. It holds special significance that reaches somewhere deep inside me. And I think it probably has to do with the music I listened to, when I was a child. I also realized that presenting anything useful about Kate Bush in the space of an hour or so, while leaving ample time to actually listen to some music, is just about impossible. She's so many things to so many people: a groundbreaking artist, songwriter, performer, producer, feminist, technologist, choreographer, and video artist are just some of the things that come immediately to mind. She was one of the first female artists to write and produce her own albums, being sole producer of every album she made since 1982's The Dreaming. Her first single, Wuthering Heights from 1978, was the first self-written UK #1 single by a woman, and she was also the first solo female artist to enter the UK album charts in 1980 for her album Never Forever. Her style is sometimes referred to as post-progressive due to her approach to themes of love and other topics usually presented from a male perspective by earlier British progressive acts like Yes and Genesis. In addition to being the first musical artist to use a sampling synthesizer on an album, she was the first performer to fashion a wireless headset microphone in 1978 out of a coat hanger. She weaves multiple musical styles and genres into her songs, including Western classical music and a wide range of ethnic and folk music as well. Her arrangements for the Bulgarian folk vocal group trio Bulgarka provide a crucial textural element to a lot of songs, several songs on her 1987 album, The Sensual World. And the Irish Julian pipes are used in her song cycle, The Ninth Wave, to symbolize, like a leitmotif, the spark of life amid a near-death experience. Her 1978 breakthrough was the song Wuthering Heights, inspired by the Emily Bronte novel and written from the perspective of Catherine, a ghost. It became the first single from her album, The Kick Inside. It was written in a few hours while Bush sat at the piano late at night, and the vocal on the track was sung in a single take. Harmonically, the song starts with an A major chord, but all the chords in the verse are major. So those of us who have had M&A2 know that's unusual, right? So a lot of modal borrowing going on here. Actually, no key is ever established until the chorus, where the song seems to finally settle on C major. Her theatrical vocal delivery and the character of a ghost was utterly unique at the time. And the music video also displays her skills as a trained dancer and choreographer. So I've got videos to play through Zoom. Also, as an option, I know that Zoom video is not reliable. So what I did is I put all these in a playlist on YouTube. So if you want, I'm going to go ahead and give everybody the link to the playlist here in the chat box. So if you want to open up the playlist in your browser, and every time I introduce a song, if you want to flip over to that and listen through YouTube for a couple of minutes and then hop back into our session when it's done, you can do that. The sound might be a little bit better. So it's up to you. Yeah, oops. Sorry, let me just grab this link for the playlist here. Okay, here it is. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with her first single, Wuthering Heights from 1978, inspired by Emily Bronte. Can everybody see that? Cool. All right, here we go. There we go. I'm back. Hey. All right. So that was state of the art music video in 1978. The all her whole catalog has been remastered a couple years ago, I think in 2018. So all the other tracks I'm going to be playing are remastered tracks. They're gonna sound better, but I wasn't able to find a video of that original music video with the remastered track underneath it, and that video kind of introduced her to the world, and she became really well known for it. And now you'll see people kind of recreating that video and doing this Wuthering Heights dance. It's become kind of a cultural thing. Um, yeah. So next, moving along here, Kate Bush's 1982 album, The Dreaming, was the first album she produced entirely herself, and it also featured the Fairlight CMI throughout, allowing her to program sounds and exhaustively experiment with her sonic signature. The Fairlight CMI was first used on record by Kate in her 1980 album Never Forever, and it was subsequently adopted by Peter Gabriel, Jan Hammer, Yes, Stevie Wonder, Herbie Hancock, and Duran Duran, among many, many others. Yeah, if you know 80s music, you know the sound of the Fairlight. The Fairlight sound was so ubiquitous in the early 80s that in the liner notes of his 1985 album No Jacket Required, Phil Collins felt compelled to write, "There is no Fairlight on this record." He wanted people to know that the brass and the string sounds on the album were all real, played by live musicians. So I've got a photo here of Kate Bush working with her Fairlight computer system here in 1980. Oh, is that it? No, that's not it. How about this one? No. You guys see what? Okay, yeah, that's it. Sorry, I'm not seeing what you're saying. So what you notice about this is it's got a couple of keyboards, and there's a QWERTY keyboard also on top where you can use to type commands into the system. And then you notice that she's holding a light pen in her left hand. And what was really cool about this and really groundbreaking was that you could use this light pen to draw on the screen. And I think that the Fairlight was the first sequencer to actually have like a visual interface for the sequencer. So you could draw notes into the sequencer using this light pen. You could draw dynamic envelopes on the different harmonic partials of a sound to create these like really interesting morphing timbres. So that the light pen was a huge part of this whole Fairlight system. And here's a short. I just wanted to play a couple minutes demo video of the Fairlight. And actually, you know what? I'm not sure if I have that pulled up. You know what? I'm probably gonna have more material than I need here anyway. So let's skip ahead and get into some more music. So the track I wanted to play off of The Dreaming from 1982 is called "Get Out of My House." And this track demonstrates Bush's adventurous sonic experiments using the Fairlight and also her increasingly avant-garde vocal performances. Again, showing her penchant for drawing inspiration from books, this song was written in response to The Shining by Stephen King. So, spooky stuff.
When you left the doors, you paused in the doorway. It's the I thought stole you away. I want to go pull you away. So I run into the hall, into the corridor. There's a door in the house. I hear the lift descending. I hear it hit the landing. See the house and the cat standing with my key eye, with my key eye, with my key eye, with my key eye. Won't let you in, full of no money. My home, my joy, I'm married and bolted no stranger's feet will enter me. with my keen eye. This house is full of madness. This house is full of mistakes. This house is full of madness. This house is full of with my keeper eye. With my keeper eye. With my keeper eye. With my keeper eye. For love, no money. My home, my joy, I'm barred and bolted and died. Stranger's feet will enter me. I wash the clothes, I clean the stain. Enter me.
Yeah, so there's just so many sonic details and so many ideas packed into that song. Um, at this point, you can hear some of the elements that are going to recur in a lot of her later albums, like those big, powerful, kind of like tribal drums programmed again with the Fairlight, sort of a hypnotic bass line, a lot of really swirling like guitars and other sorts of layered vocal effects and things like that, kind of bouncing around the soundstage. Yeah, this album is really when she started coming into her own as a producer, and she kind of put her sonic wizardry on full display there. So let's go ahead and take a recital credit break. Let me go ahead and get the link for that. Does everybody want some recital credit? So here is the link for that. Susie commented on this on the LP cover. Yeah, that's a fascinating image. There's another track on the album. I believe it's just called Houdini, about a woman's relationship with Harry Houdini, and he was famous for. He was a famous escape artist in the early 20th century, and one of his signature tricks was he'd be shackled with chains and tossed off a bridge into a river, and he would escape underwater and come to the surface. And I think one of the methods that he used, I mean, he had lots of ways to effect this trick, but I think one of the methods he used was to have an assistant come and kiss him and pose as a member of the crowd. And so this assistant would pass him a key as she kissed him. And so that's what that image is supposed to be. Yeah. All right. So Kate Bush's next album, Hounds of Love, is widely considered her masterpiece. It was released in September 1985 and is the product of almost a year and a half of largely solitary work. After The Dreaming came out, she decided to build a studio in the barn behind her family's house so that she could work at her own pace whenever she liked. And I've got a picture of her in that studio here. I believe that's a Soundcraft console there. There's a Tascam, I think it's a Tascam tape machine behind her. So yeah, she finally had her own space to kind of pursue her own vision. The Dreaming was recorded in commercial studios, and it took a long time, and it was a long, tough process for her. And so she felt the need to kind of carve out her own space for the next project that she embarked on. So she got a lot of musicians to play on this album, but she did the bulk of the production work on her own, again with the Fairlight. From the first notes of the first track on this album, to my mind, the creative distance she had traveled from The Dreaming is huge. On Hounds of Love, there seems to be a rock-solid intent behind every sound. Her vocals are perfectly crafted. Every song overflows with big, romantic invention. In short, I think it's a completely intoxicating listening experience from beginning to end. And as I said earlier, as a child of the 80s, I grew up immersed in the kind of larger-than-life music that decade was really known for. And, as much as I came to love grunge and alternative rock in the 90s when I was in high school, there's nothing romantic about that at all. If you're looking for imagination, this is the kind of album that delivers many, many times over. So the first song on the album, Running Up That Hill, A Deal with God, immediately sets a sweeping cinematic tone for the rest of the album and introduces her electrifying vocal style. This song remains her most well-known song, and it's a reflection on gender roles. Loudness level is very low through Zoom. Oh, thanks, Alec. Here, before we go ahead and play another tune, let me check my preferences here. Let's see. Yeah, gosh, is it coming through really quiet for everybody else? Yeah, so does everybody have does everybody have the link to the playlist on YouTube? Do you want me to post that again? Yeah, this is the kind of thing you don't want to skimp on the audio for. So if you're having trouble with Zoom, I'd really recommend going over to YouTube and then meeting back up, after the song is over. Yeah, sorry about that. I think it looks like my preferences are. It's not too bad. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. So if anybody wants wants another link to the playlist, let me know. YouTube video volume was down. Okay, I'll check that, Brennan. Yeah, thank you. Cool. Okay, so getting into Hounds of Love, Running Up That Hill. Okay, this might do the trick. Hey, okay, sorry, I'm back. So how's the sound? Is that better now? Okay, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was just turned down on YouTube before. All right, man, those drums. How about that? One thing I noticed about this track, just listening to it now that I did not put in my notes, is this is another good example of how she uses really interesting bass lines, or like the lack of a bass line, but still suggests harmonic motion anyway. Like the actual bass synth part in there is just sitting on the tonic the whole time, but all the other instruments, the higher synths and some of the vocal lines move the harmony, but that bass line stays still. It's an interesting kind of separation between the bass instrument and the harmony instruments. And actually, that's pertinent to the second track on the album, which I'd like to play. It's called Hounds of Love. It's the title track. It's about someone who's afraid to fall in love, which seems like a fairly well-worn topic. But here, Bush uses the metaphor of being chased by a pack of wild dogs to make her point. The song opens with a dialogue sample from the 1957 British horror film Night of the Demon. It's in the trees. It's coming. What fascinates me the most about this song is the instrumentation. Big drums, vocals, strings, but again, no bass. Notice how the violins in the middle of the soundstage are Fairlight patches. They don't sound real, but the cello parts that ping pong back and forth to the left and right are live cello parts, and that's going to provide the bass part for this song.
It's in the trees. It's coming.
When I was a child, running in the night, afraid of what might be, hiding in the dark, hiding in the street, and the world was following me. The hounds of love are haunting. I've always been the coward. I don't know what's good for me. Oh, here I go. It's coming for me through the trees. Oh, help me, someone, help me, please. Take my shoes off and throw them in the lake, and I'll be 2 steps on the water. I found a fox, caught by dogs. You let me take him in my hands. His little heart, it beats so fast, and I'm ashamed of running away. But nothing real, I just can't deal with this. I'm still afraid to be there. On your arms of love. Feel your arms surround me. I've always been a coward. I never know what's good for me. Oh, here I go. Don't let me go. Hold me down. It's coming for me through the trees. Oh, help me, darling, help me, please. Take my shoes off and throw them in the lake, and I'll be 2 steps on the water. I don't know what's good for me. I don't know what's good for me. I need la 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 yeah, yo, yeah, yo, love. Take your shoes off and throw them in the lake. Do you know what I really need? Do you know what I really need? La 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 yeah.
All right. The second single from this album is called Cloud Busting. And this is another example of Kate Bush drawing inspiration from books, in this case, A Book of Dreams by Peter Reich. The song tells the story of Reich's relationship with his father, an eccentric psychoanalyst named Wilhelm Reich, whose controversial work dealt with Freudian analysis and sexuality. His ideas were not well received in the US in the mid-20th century, where he moved his family before World War II. He was arrested for fraud by the FBI and died in prison in 1957. And the song tells the story of how young Peter and his father often went cloud busting on their farm in Maine called Organon, using a machine Reich invented for seeding rain clouds. And I've got a picture of Wilhelm Reich with his cloud busting machine here. Yeah, Wilhelm Reich, he would point this machine up at the clouds and somehow it would make it rain. Don't know if that's true or not. Don't know what his success rate was, but that's what this song is about anyway. The song ends with the father being taken away by the authorities and the pain and the helplessness his son feels at not being able to protect him. Writing for AllMusic, journalist Amy Hansen said that safety and danger are threaded through the song, both via a thoughtful lyric and a compulsive cello-driven melody. Even more startling but hardly surprising is the ease with which Bush was able to capture the moment when a child first realizes that adults are fallible.
I still dream of Organon. I wake up crying. You're making rain, and you're just in reach. When you in sleep escape me, you're like my yo-yo that glowed in the dark. What made it special? Needed dangerous, so I bury it. Forget. But every time it rains,
right. The second side of Hounds of Love is comprised of a song cycle titled The Ninth Wave, a phrase taken from an Alfred Lord Tennyson epic Arthurian poem. In a similar way, Bush uses the songs to describe a so-called vision quest, where a protagonist journeys through death and rebirth. In this case, she tells the story of a woman floating alone at night in the ocean in a life jacket, probably after a shipwreck, although it's not explicitly stated. She experiences hallucinations, spiritual trial and judgment, and finally emerges through a supreme affirmation of life. The songs themselves offer a kaleidoscope of musical imagery and sonic invention. I wish we had time to listen to the whole cycle. We don't, but I'd like to be able to get through a couple of tracks from others as well, so I'm going to just select a couple of songs from the Ninth Wave. I would definitely encourage all of you to listen to the whole cycle, though, as it was intended. It's a half hour very well spent. One track I'd like to play through is near the beginning of the cycle, called Waking the Witch. In it, the protagonist's friends and family appear as if in a dream, trying to wake her up so she doesn't drown. Bush enlisted real family and band members to record the voices at the beginning of the song, and from there she imagines she's on trial for witchcraft. And she has said this about the song: "I think it's very interesting, the whole concept of witch hunting and the fear of women's power. In this song, the woman is being persecuted by the witch hunter and the whole jury, although she's committed no crime, and they're trying to push her under the water to see if she'll sink or float." The combination of instruments with pitch-shifted vocals, atonal and multi-metric chant and church bells, delayed guitar tones makes for an intense and disorienting sound collage. And also, if the helicopter sample sounds familiar, that's because it's the same one that was used on Pink Floyd's The Wall. She was trying to find a really good helicopter sound. She couldn't find any, so she asked EMI if she could use the helicopter sound from The Wall, and they said yes. So, same one.
Wake up. You must wake up.
Wake up, man.
Wake up, child. Pay attention.
Come on. Wake up.
Wake up, love.
You should make the night, but see your little lights alive.
Can you not see that little light up there? There.
Wake up,
Yeah, that's not part of the song. So, yeah, the last song in the cycle, called The Morning Fog, sees the rescue of the protagonist and the first rays of light in the morning sky. Bush wrote that it's very much a song of seeing perspective, of being so grateful for everything that you have and you're never grateful for in ordinary life. It features Del Palmer on fretless bass, an instrument that Kate Bush favors in many of her songs for its elastic, expressive lyricism. And to me, The Morning Fog certainly sounds like joy and gratitude distilled to its essence. So this is the last track from Hounds of Love. All right, I've got two more tracks I'd like to play for you. Her next album, The Sensual World from 1987, took its inspiration from literature. In the title track, Bush writes from the perspective of James Joyce's Molly Bloom in Ulysses when she steps out of the page to experience the real or sensual world. The album again features the Irish folk instruments such as fiddle, uilleann pipes, and whistle that were part of the sonic palette of Hounds of Love. And this time it also features the Bulgarian folk vocal ensemble trio Bulgarka. This group appears on 3 tracks. And the album again puts a spotlight on the sound of the fretless bass, played in several songs by Del Palmer, John Giblin, and Mick Karn. One of these tracks featuring both fretless bass and trio Bulgarka is Deeper Understanding, a song that shows just how much foresight Bush had writing in 1987 about a lonely person forming an emotional bond with a computer. The swirl of drums, piano, fretless bass, and voices creates an intoxicating stage for this sad story.
As the people here grow colder, I turn to my computer and spend my evenings with it like a friend. I was loading a new program I had ordered from a magazine. Are you lonely? Are you lost? This voice console is a must.
The last song I'd like to share tonight is another of Kate Bush's most popular songs, one that she wrote for the John Hughes film She's Having a Baby in 1988. It's called This Woman's Work, and the scene she wrote it for involves a man learning that the lives of his wife and unborn child are in danger. The song, written from the man's perspective, takes him through flashbacks and self-recrimination before finally resolving in a happy ending. For all the production wizardry we've heard so far, the song powerfully shows Bush's incredible melodic sense, relying on not much more than her voice and piano to weave its spell. And this last song I'll show is a music video, and Kate Bush features in the video. You see her at the beginning playing the piano, and she's one of the actors in the video as well.
Pray God you can cope. I stand outside this woman's work, this woman's word. Ooh, it's hard on the man. Now his part is over. Now starts the cry of the father. I know you have a little life in you yet. I know you have a lot of strength left. I know you have a little life in you yet. I know you have a lot of strength left. I should be crying, but I just can't let it show. I should be hoping, but I can't stop thinking. All the things I should have said that I never said. All the things we should have done that we never did. All the things I should have given that I didn't. Oh, darling, make it go. Make it go away. Give me these moments back. Give them back to me. Give me that little kiss. Give me all. I know you have a little life in you yet. I know you have a lot of strength left. I know you have a little life in you yet. I know you have a lot of strength left. I should be crying, but I just can't let it show. I should be hoping, but I can't stop thinking. Of all the things we should have said that we never said. All the things we should have done that we never did. All the things that you needed from me. All the things that you wanted from me. All the things I should have given that I didn't. Oh, darling, make it go away. Just make it go away now.
All right. Well, Kate Bush went on to release just 4 more albums in the next 25 years. The Red Shoes in 1993, Ariel in 2005, Director's Cut, which was a re-recording of several hits in 2011, and 50 Words for Snow at the end of 2011. In 2014, she performed a sold-out 22-night residency at London's Hammersmith Apollo Theatre, which was only the second time she's ever performed a run of shows. The first was a tour in 1978 after the release of her very first album, and one can only hope that we'll hear her distinctive voice again sometime before too long. So thank you so much for sharing this time with me. Hope you all enjoyed it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Did she? I have one question. Did she produce Hounds of Love herself as well?
She did. Yeah, she produced Hounds of Love herself. She exercises total creative control over all of that. Some of the songs she mixed herself. Some of the songs were mixed by other engineers. Like I said before, I think I mentioned her catalog was remastered in 2018 by James Guthrie, a British mastering engineer who's remastered all of the Pink Floyd catalog as well. But yeah, as far as production, she's sole producer for all of her albums since 1982.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? All right.
That's the question.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you saw it or not.
Oh, Brennan, no, sorry. Experiment 4. Oh, gosh, yeah, I saw that mentioned somewhere. I had not heard of it before I started putting tracks together for this. So, there's some corners of her catalog I don't really know that well. What is that? Do you know?
My girlfriend listens to it a lot. She says it's a B-side.
Okay. Is it a B-side from Hounds of Love? Like mid-'80s, probably?
Yeah, something around there. I don't remember which record it's from, but
yeah, it was like a bonus track that she put on and released as an EP prior to the releasing of the album. I can't remember what it was. It was the one where Suspended and Gaff is on.
That's the Dreaming. Yeah, so it would be
it's like a bonus song of the Dreaming as on the record. So on most on streaming platforms you can't find it, but the music video is on YouTube, and it's such a wild thing with sound.
Oh, okay. Wow, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'll have to definitely check that out. So yeah, it's called Experiment 4. So IV Roman numerals. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you. Yeah. Lauren was writing a gorgeous song called Under the Ivy. Oh, that's right, another B-side single. Yeah, some of these B-sides that I'm not familiar with, so I definitely need to get further into her catalog. Yeah, her last album, 50 Words for Snow, I'd recommend you check that out. It's really different from everything else she's done. It's very atmospheric, very wintry, I guess is the way that I would describe it. There's one song where she writes about a love affair that she has with a snowman. Some of it's pretty far out there, but it's really atmospheric and very low key compared to the stuff that we listen to today. Ariel, her album from 2005, is really gorgeous too. There's a lot of great stuff on there. I wish I had another hour to play more music, but I just wanted to kind of go through some of her more, more influential stuff. And she's been a huge influence on all kinds of modern artists. Tori Amos and Bjork, not exactly modern, but more modern. St. Vincent, Lady Gaga. There are many, many artists nowadays who are working in kind of the avant-garde, art pop scene, who, took a lot of inspiration from her. So, all right. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you around. Thank you. Oh, and if anybody wants a recording of this, it will be on YouTube. So this is going out to YouTube Live, and you can see it on our UML Music YouTube channel also. So thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, glad you can make it.